head to your local hardware store and grab some 1x2s. I got a 6-foot length and a 4-foot length, and you're also going to want to grab a pack of those wire fairy lights. Once you get them back to the house, hold the 6-foot and 4-foot length up together and make a little mark with your pencil where the 4-foot mark is. This is going to help you cut that 6-foot length into a 4-foot piece and a 2-foot piece. Once that's done, I happen to have a piece of a 2x4. You can use any kind of scrap wood as long as it will work for a base. Screw through to the 1x2 and have it grab on and hold it in place. And then grab that 2-foot piece, and I just used some nice long finishing nails and secured the top piece to the 2 4-foot lengths using that. Once that's done, it's time to paint. Just make sure there's no dust or any kind of debris on it, and then grab your favorite color spray paint. Here I'm using this nice purple color and give it a nice even coat. Then grab those wire fairy lights, leaving the base piece at the bottom, the one with the batteries, and go ahead and start wrapping your fairy lights around. I did this, added 1 strand and thought it definitely needs some more. So I went and bought a 2nd strand and looped them around, and then boom, it made such a huge difference to have 2 sets of lights. It's so bright and it really brightens up this corner. I hope that you guys run out and try this yourself and that it adds a little bright, shiny spot to your party or a kid's room or just really anywhere in your house.
So I headed down to the hardware store and picked up some 1x2s. When I got back to the condo, I measured my wall and cut the wood down to size. I stained the wood. It was really easy wearing gloves and using the cloth, and I loved the dark color. I let the pieces dry and then I was ready to start. I made sure the first piece was plumb. I recently learned that vertical measurements are plumb, whereas horizontal ones are level. I made sure the first piece was plumb, and then I used a nail gun to attach it to the wall. Once I had the first piece in place, I used another piece as a spacer and then secured the next one. Using the 1x2 as a spacer made the job quick and easy. I secured all of my vertical boards in place. I ended up using 13 pieces for the wall, but you can obviously add as many or as few as you need for your space. Many slat walls end at the top of the wall, but I'd seen a few that extended onto the ceiling and I liked the way they looked. I secured the pieces on the ceiling. I abutted them against each other, but these could certainly be miter cut for a more seamless finish if desired. I also cut the slat boards so as not to obstruct the outlet. I left some room to make sure that the wood wouldn't interfere with anything bulky that needed to be plugged in. The slat wall was looking good, but I wanted to make it more unique by adding light. I used LED strip lights with a remote control. These were really easy to use because they have an adhesive backing and could be stuck directly to the wood. I removed the backing and stuck them along the wall and also up onto the ceiling pieces. I chose to run the lights in alternate lines, but of course any pattern can be used depending on personal preference. Turning it on for the first time was exciting. The lights changed color with the remote, and my favorite was the cool blue light. I added a few more things to the room, including shelves in a matching color, curtains, and a bed. I love the uniqueness that the slats and lights gave to the room.
I'll be starting this project with a 9-inch foam wreath form. Next, I'm going to put a little hot glue using my Xyron hot glue gun right here on the wreath form. I'm going to take some white crepe paper and attach it to the wreath form. Now I'm going to go ahead and wrap the crepe paper around. Now this doesn't need to be perfect. This is more just to cover the green with the crepe paper. Now I finished wrapping this up, and you could also use gauze or you can purchase a white wreath form that's ready to go. I purchased mine at the dollar store. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tear off the remaining crepe paper. I'm gonna use my Xyron glue gun to just add a little more glue and then adhere it to this side like that. Next, I'll be using battery-powered LED lights. And you can attach the battery pack however you want to. You can hot glue it into place. I'm going to be using a slap bracelet to help hold it into place. I want to be able to access the batteries later if I need to. You could also use a pipe cleaner or something like that. Next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just wrap the battery lights around the wreath form so that there's lights going all the way around and to help hold them in place. And you can either hot glue them or leave them as is. Next, I'll be using some premium polyester fiber fill, or you could use some cotton balls. Now taking the fiber fill and the hot glue gun, I'm gonna go ahead and add some hot glue to the wreath form. And then I'm going to apply the fiber fill. And I'm gonna continue adding small sections of the hot glue and the fiber fill. I'll continue to do this until the whole thing's covered all the way around. So the top part is lightly covered, and I'm going to flip it over, and now I need to do the same thing to the bottom side by just adding some hot glue and then placing the fiber fill on top of the hot glue. Now that the top and the bottom are covered, we need to fill in the gaps on the sides. So simply adding more hot glue in those sections and adding more fiber fill will help. Now another thing you can do instead of adding more fiber fill is putting some glue in there and then pulling the top and the bottoms together to fill that gap as well. Now that it's for the most part coated, with the exception of the inside, which isn't as important, but you can cover that as well. Now we're just gonna make sure with a little tugs, pulls, and a little more hot glue, we're gonna create more of a cloud shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and billow up the top and reshape them by giving a little pull and a tug, and then moving the glue where I need to fill in the gaps to create this cloud shape. So I'm gonna show you a little bit closer what I mean by filling in. So this is pretty flat. So I've grabbed a little piece of the fiber fill, added it with a bunch of hot glue, and now I'm just gonna stick it in here so that I've got another little ball on the front end of this piece. So let's take a look at how it looks so far. So I've got a nice cloud shape going, my lights are inside, and now it's time to add some string so we can hang it. So I'll be using some fishing line to hang it. That way it'll appear like my cloud is floating. So I'm gonna take some fishing line and weave it in, pull it through, and then I'll measure it to be the right length, and then I'll go ahead and I'll cut it and tie a knot so that it can hang. So now that I've got all the strings on it, let's go hang it up and take a look at it.